Hey everyone, and welcome! Today we're going to dive into Unit 7 all about caring communities. We're going to ask what really makes a group of people feel like a home. We'll break down the words we use to talk about it, and then we'll get into the grammar that lets us imagine and build even better ones. Let's get started.
Okay, so here's our game plan. First, we'll load up our toolkit with the right words, the language of community. Then, we're going to get into the grammar of what if. We'll look at how we talk about real, possible situations, and then how we imagine totally different realities. And to wrap it all up, we'll hit you with a quick challenge to see what stuck.
So first things first, let's build our vocabulary. What are the actual building blocks, the key ingredients, for a community that feels genuinely caring and strong?
And this is really the big question, isn't it? Because a community is so much more than just a place you live. It's a feeling. And that feeling, it usually starts with one really powerful idea.
And that word is belong. This verb is pretty much the heart of this entire unit. It's not just about being on a list of members. It's that deeper feeling of being comfortable, of being accepted for exactly who you are. It's absolutely essential.
So how does this work in a real sentence? Take a look at this one. As a new member, I want to feel that I'm what? Which word fits best? Well, the key here is feeling like an active part of the team. Being invited is nice, being encouraged is great, but being included really nails that sense of true belonging. You're not just there, you're part of the whole thing.
And this table really paints the bigger picture. It's all about these powerful contrasts. A community is either inclusive and welcoming, or it's exclusive. It celebrates diversity, or it pushes for sameness. It's built on cooperation and partnership, or it leads to isolation. You can see how all these words are really the foundation for talking about this stuff.
Okay, so we've got the vocabulary down. Now let's look at the grammar. We need to put these words into action. We're going to start with conditionals, those if-then sentences. First up are the real ones, the ones we use for things that are pretty much certain, or at least very likely.
All right, let's start with the zero conditional. Think of this one as the rule maker or the fact conditional. We use it for things that are just always true. Scientific facts, general truths. If one thing happens, the other thing always happens as a result. No exceptions.
And here's the classic example, right? If we boil water, it turns into steam. It's a fact of science. The main thing to notice is the structure. We've got if plus a present simple verb, boil, and the result is also in the present simple, turns. Simple cause, simple effect.
Okay, let's try one. Ice melts if the weather temperature, what do you think? Well, this is another one of those basic scientific facts, right? So we need that zero conditional structure, present simple on both sides. Ice melts is present simple, so the verb we need is, you got it, arises.
All right, let's shift gears to the first conditional. This one's a little different. It's not for things that are always true, but for things that are possible or likely in the future. This is our prediction conditional. If this happens, then that will probably happen.
Check out this example. If he works hard, he'll pass the next exam. It's a specific prediction, not a universal law. And see how the structure changes? The if part is still present simple, works, but the result uses will. He'll pass. This is how we talk about cause and effect in our communities too. If we encourage our neighbors, our community will get stronger.
Okay, your turn. My mother, sad if I pass the exam. So we're talking about a future possibility and its likely result. We got to use that first conditional structure. The logical result of me passing the exam is that my mother probably will not be sad, right? So the answer is C, won't be.
All right, now for the really fun part. We're moving from the real world into the unreal. These are the conditionals we use for imagining, for daydreaming, for talking about hypothetical situations that are unlikely, or maybe even impossible.
So first up is the second conditional. This is our dreaming conditional. We use it to imagine a different present or a very unlikely future. This is for all those if I won the lottery or if I had a superpower kinds of thoughts.
Now the structure here is super important. Look at this. If he trained hard, he'd win the match. What this sentence is secretly telling us is that he doesn't train hard right now, so he won't win. See? It's unreal. We use the past simple in the if part, trained, and would plus the basic verb win for that imagined result.
What if the car hit this rock? We're imagining a hypothetical situation here. And our big clue is in the if clause. Hit is past simple. So what do we need for the result? It's gotta be would happen.
And that brings us to our last one, the third conditional. I like to call this the time machine conditional. It's for looking back at the past and imagining how things could have been different, maybe with regret, maybe with relief. It's pure what if about things that are already over.
So the reality of this sentence is that he did not win, so he did not get the prize. We're just imagining the opposite past. Now the structure is a bit more complex. The if clause uses the past perfect, had won, and the result uses would have plus the past participle, got. Okay, one last practice run. The second part of the sentence, I would have had lunch, is a huge giveaway. That's a classic third conditional result. So the if part needs to be in the past perfect. Now I know it looks a little strange, but the correct answer is C, had. If I had had enough time.
This slide is perfect because it puts them right next to each other. Here's the simplest way to remember the difference. It's all about time. The second conditional is for imagining a different present or future. The third conditional is for imagining a different past. If I had money means I don't have it now. If I had money means I didn't have it back then. The grammar just changes to reflect that time difference.
All right, you made it. You've got the key words, you've got the grammar for talking about reality, and for dreaming up new ones. So let's put it all together for one final challenge. You ready? Okay, here it is. We need to rewrite this sentence, but using if. Now, here's a little trick. The word unless is basically just a shortcut for if not. So keeping that in mind, how would you rephrase it? The answer is, water won't boil if it is not heated. Perfect.
And let's end with this. We've just spent all this time learning the grammar for imagining different realities, the second conditional. So if you could use that power, that language, to start a project to improve your own community, what would you do? Because that's the real point of all of this, right? It's not just about passing a test. It's about having the tools to imagine and maybe even create a better world. Thanks so much for joining me.